My name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the energies for today's Monday's musings and the week ahead. Feels really nice to say good morning. It's been a long time since I've managed to do the reading first thing in the morning. They've normally been in the afternoon because I just haven't managed to get my house in gear. That's the God's honest truth. Yeah, I've been really quite distracted. But this morning my cat gave me no option, trying to wake me up from 2 o'clock. Eventually at 4 o'clock I got up. And whilst that does mean that I'm tired and that does mean that I was woken before I would have liked, there's been a few home truths that I've been or had the privilege of seeing as a result. So this video is coming to you at 10 o'clock in the morning. That's when it's being recorded. So it won't be out until the afternoon. But what's beautiful about that is the sun is shining. I have the rest of the day to do something other than my job, my work, which is something that's acutely hitting home for me of late, where I'm out of balance in regards to the amount that I give in what I offer and the amount that I receive. And I'm being encouraged to look at that, as will we all be this week, not only with our work, but our relationships, our connection to ourselves, anything basically that there is an opportunity of flow there or a lack of. Yes, we are being guided to look at how we root into that, how we find a deeper wisdom within that is available. And it goes beyond our expectations, and it goes beyond what we think something should be and how it should turn out, to what we actually need in order to grow and to be sustained, because it's that that's actually changed this week. And unless we can admit that, unless we can acknowledge that, then yes, it may cause a few rude awakenings, but unless we can acknowledge that, we're going to spend our time in dreams and not the reality of them. So that's pretty much all I'm going to say about the pre-guidance this week. What we do with it obviously is up to us. There are going to be a few things that are going to bring forth some alarm in regards to what we want and how willing we are to call out for it. And that will come through what we're not willing to put up with anymore. And it's not going to be in the easy, obvious areas. It's not going to be in the areas where we're confident with having boundaries or confident in recognizing where flows rather may be out of balance. It's going to be in the areas where, an example, what wouldn't we do type areas. So what wouldn't I do for my job, for what I love to do? What wouldn't I do? And yeah, the proof has been in the pudding. You know, we've sold our home and everything to open our shop. So what wouldn't we do? But does that include receiving what it is we need in return? If not, we're going to be shown that this week. Why? Because magic is co-collaboration. Everything we do is co-collaboration. And sometimes it's really beneficial to pause, to wait, to listen to the answers before we go jumping in, trying to save it or rectify it. Sometimes things are out of balance. Sometimes there is a need for additional resources, and we won't recognize that unless we stop being that additional resource. The other thing that I've really loved this morning about getting up early is I've managed to obviously sort out my home, walk my dog, chop wood, carry water, basic human needs, which are really important as well, and what will be coming under the spotlight. I finished writing a blog for this full moon that's just gone, but I'm just remembering that actually July's full moon is in the same sign, which is really unusual to have two full moons, consecutive full moons in the same sign. But in July, it will also be in Capricorn, which is that really looking at that better the devil we know type energy, how sustainable that is, whether or not that protects us, returns the energy that we're putting into it, whether or not we can grow from it, whether or not it sustains us, and whether or not we are sustaining it and ourselves. So best will in the world, we can think that we are doing something and that we can keep going, and we keep giving all that we can, but without embracing the additional help, whatever it is we're trying to create isn't getting what it needs. So an example, we can be pregnant. Yeah, we can be eating all the right foods, we can be going to all the right things, but there may be the fact that we need additional support from a specific area. Yeah, we may need additional aid from a particular presence, But if we don't seek that, if we don't allow that in, and we try and be the obstetrician to ourselves or the midwife to ourselves or whatever, then we are limiting the potential of the outcome. So this week, really feeling into what is it you need, who can help provide that, and are you willing to ask and receive that support? If not, what impact is it going to have on you and the very thing that you're trying to create without the other energies that need to be involved? We can only go so far. We only have so much potential on our own. As we start to move into next year, and it's just coming to me now, as we start to move into next year with the Hermit year, there can be a real misconception with what Hermit energy is. You know, that belief that it's about doing it all on our own. And actually it's about coming within to ourselves and being stable in who we are and helping others do that, and then all walking forward together in that light. So yeah, the more confident we are in ourselves, the more with ease we are able to receive whatever is needed to take things to the next level. I need to take that on board myself. So that being said, this morning, yes, I did manage to walk my dog. I managed to sort out my home. I also managed to have my own tuning fork treatment, which is why I'm a little bit relaxed and hazed out, and just decided to fill that gap with something for myself. So if we come across any potential unknown areas this week, rather than jumping in and trying to fix it or solve, how about taking that time for yourself? How about seeing that gap as a beautiful opportunity to pause, to rest, to relax, to get ourselves ready to receive this week? And it isn't anything that we don't know, but it's one thing to know, right? Okay, so with that in mind, that's really all I'm going to share. I shared a TikTok video this morning on my walk, and I asked a few questions. Does it bring you light? No. Does it help you shine? Whatever it is you're doing, you know, whether it's a relationship that you have questions over, whether it's a career that you have questions over, a path that you have questions over, yourself even, your own views, does it help you shine? Does it present itself as a clear path to you? Does it support your growth? Does it direct you? Does it love you? Does it bring light in moments of darkness? Does it move you? Does it protect you? Really, really, really shouldn't it be? And that's ourselves included this week. So what I'm doing, is it helping me to shine? Or is it making me a bitter person? Is it helping me to grow, or is it leaving me totally insecure and reiterating narratives that don't benefit me? Is it bringing light in my darkness, or is it helping me to avoid my darkness? Is it loving me? Am I loving me? Am I protecting me? Am I clearing the path? Am I directing me? Really, really looking at that in regards to not only external factors this week, but ourselves included. So on that note, I am going to read the energies for this week, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time. There isn't a need to overemphasize this week. It feels like it's a real pivotal moment of completion this week, if we allow it to be, right? If we allow it to be. So with that in mind, energies for this week. And how to best navigate them. And I'm really feeling drawn to add how to bring closure. And there's resistance there. There's resistance there that I'm assuming that that's my journey. And I'm just going to bring closure on that and go with my gut instinct. Energies this week, and how to best how to best bring closure. This week it really, really feels like that. There's a great potential for that. Okay, so we have the Sun of Fire underneath. Now we have all these tools, all this preparation going on here in front of us, and just getting ourselves ready. One of the best things we can do for closure is to admit that that's what we want, just like I struggled there, right, with the reading. Yeah, going with our gut instinct and knowing there's a time to hunt and there's a time to prepare. And this week it really feels like it's a chance to prepare for whatever may be coming. by letting go of what no longer resonates or is relevant to us. So on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Overall, I really feel like I want to rush through it. Pausing and taking time with that, and I can feel that in my throat, wanting to rush through the communication that is coming through, wanting to force closure. There's a difference between closure and completion, and that difference is obviously closure can be on an individual level, but completion may take a little bit longer. Okay, so recognizing the bits that we can bring full circle and the bits that still have some growth to be had there. Overall, for the week, we do have the Mother of Air, we have the Queen of Swords, and the best way to navigate any change is to, one, know that it's happening, but also to see change itself from a higher perspective. It's not linear. Change is never linear. It's more cyclic in nature. Being aware of that. Knowing that even our perspective is guided by something beyond things that we are unable to see. That's the whole point of the higher perspective. There may be a direction that doesn't quite make sense to us, and it may be as if we are being guided to do something and it's just crazy this week, but to really go with that intuitive higher connection here. To be connected to source doesn't always mean that we have the answers. To be connected to source means that we are open and aware of the answers that come by not knowing. There is a great amount of wisdom in the unknown. And this week, if we want that completion, if we want that closure, it's not about figuring things out. It's about letting go of the need to figure things out. So on the Monday, we have the Daughter of Fire, and I have a real, almost like I do have a real mental block here, and the reason being is I have a mental block. This is the Daughter of Fire. Monday, it isn't about asking for things that make sense. It's about asking for things that draw your spirit, that help you shine, that clear the path, that protect you, that love you, that make your heart beat, that make you want to get up in the morning, that have a deeper calling for you. And even it may not make sense on the Monday. It may be totally unknown. But overall, the energy this week, if you look at the eagle in the background, you can see that it's whatever we call up on the Monday that starts to spark that. And you've got the lightning bolts there. There is change coming, and it's coming from the courage it takes to be with what brings us life, to be with what helps us spark and want to do what we're doing, and the courage to say when something doesn't. There's a lot of maturity this week with the feminine, and it's that almost that I want to try and rush, that I want to try and get through so that I can make sense of. But the feminine this week feels quite not, it is coy almost. It is almost like having to woo her out. Like there's been times where we haven't quite trusted what we've wanted, and a simple spell, if you will, has turned into a very complicated mismatch of karma and this and that and reason and logic and explanation. Bringing it back to basics. If we want completion this week, if we want closure this week, perhaps asking for what we asked for so very, very long ago, as if it was the first time. Letting go of that, or rather reabsorbing the lessons, reabsorbing everything that you've gained, reabsorbing all the wisdom that has come out as a result, or the healing or whatever, but not asking from that perspective anymore, asking as if it's brand new, and nurturing that, having patience with that almost inner wild within us that wants to start creating again, that wants to start bringing forth some of our dreams and our hopes and our wishes, tenderly, gently, without rushing forward trying to make sense of it or logically explaining it. Because sometimes when we logically explain what it is we want, it's not about wanting it anymore. We found a reason for it, which means it comes from a place that we didn't believe we deserved it in the first place, and that magic can be really diluted if we get too caught up in that. It's one thing to have a higher perspective, right? But it's another thing to try and bring that higher perspective down before it's ready. We can assume when we ask for something, that we need to be aware of X, Y, and Z. And what we've done is actually limit that magic. So we've taken what we believe is a higher perspective, but it's still the human version of the higher perspective. So get out of the way. Monday in particular, and dream. I hear that song, dream a little dream for me. Just dream. What have you actually got to lose to feel into what it might be like? Do you even know what it's like to have a clear path, to feel directed, to know that that light is always there in the darkness, to feel protected, to feel at one with your own spirit? Do you know what it feels like when you shine? Go back to times when you did, and really bring that energy forward, because if we can do that on the Monday, come the Tuesday, that initial spark starts to really turn into a fire. Actually, we go from the daughter of fire to the mother of fire. We conceive this spirit now. We conceive this idea, this new beginning, this what brings us life will actually start to grow within us, and we can start to build upon that. On the Wednesday, that's when we discover our ability to be the shaman. On the Wednesday, we have the Hierophant and the first and only major arcana this week. So a real week of taking an idea, working with spirit, and creating as a result. So setting intentions this week for the fun of it and seeing what actually happens on the Wednesday, because there's a real trauma here in how the connection to magic, how the connection to healing, how the connection to spirit itself has been seen. There's a real trauma here on come the Wednesday, that it's almost been very dogmatic, that it's almost been very much about lessons, nothing else, that it's been very hard, very enduring, and that it's been about loss, and it's been about hardship. Being aware of that on the Wednesday, because that's going to have an impact on the rest of the week. Wednesday is the day we really need to feel and listen to what is going on for us in regards to what it is we are completing now in our connection here on this planet. Have we gained what we need to gain to move forward from the endurances, from the insecurity, from the loss? Has it helped us gain integrity, or has it helped us actually move away from it? Really defining that this week. On the Wednesday, we are going to have that. It's almost like I almost see like a blip. I see like a blip. I know it's a hump day, but I see like a blip there that makes us question. It's not an existential crisis, but it is similar. It makes us question the world we live in. It makes us question who we are. It makes us question the lessons that we've discovered. And that's going to be an ongoing theme for this week. And it's definitely going to be starting from Monday and Tuesday. So being aware of that when we create, bringing it back to basics when we create can be the most nurturing thing that we do, not letting our mind get in the way. And if our mind does start to get in the way, then taking it up higher, nurturing the fact that there's a vision behind us that even we don't recognize. All we need to do is show up, go with whatever we are being shown, and create with whatever is in front of us on the Monday and Tuesday. And come the Wednesday, that's going to really help us connect to this co-collaboration of the shamanic energy that is available for us all. The recognition that our lessons go as far as our wisdom. Our knowledge is as big, as vast as our wisdom. So we can learn these things. We can see the patterns. We can recognize what is going on. But how are we applying that to life? Are we applying it to life and making life harder, with more insecurity, with more loss? Or are we actually applying it to life so that life doesn't have to be so enduring, so that we don't have to feel so insecure, and we don't have to feel so empty and void from that connection? Because on the Thursday, we do have the Seven of Fire. We do have endurance. Now, the Seven of Wands is normally quite a defensive card, but in this image here, you can see that the sun is, can't make out if it's rising or if it's setting. And that feels quite important to recognize that whether it's a new start or an ending, they're both the same. It's an opportunity here. It's an opportunity to look at all the things that we've endured, to stack that all up and move forward with that strength, or not. And you can see that these ones are actually burnt out here. So the choice is going to be ours on the Thursday, and what we decide on the Thursday is how we will end up perceiving things on the Friday, which is when we have the Five of Earth, or insecurity here. You can see in this card that the crows are actually feeding from empty corn. There's nothing left in this corn, and yet they're continuing to pick at it. They can fly, they can move away. There's even seeds on the bottom that they haven't even noticed to feed from. So really recognizing on the Friday, what is it we are choosing to focus on? Are we staying in areas that do not sustain us? Is that whether that's relationships or work? And why? If we know something doesn't work for us, why do we feel we need to stay there? Really looking at that this week, because come the Saturday, we have the Five of Cups, which is loss. And that is going to be from now, and as we lead into the new moon, we are going to be encouraged to let certain things grow. By letting them go, they grow, right? It's the old saying of if you love it, let it go type thing. Letting things go that don't serve us, we will grow naturally. We won't need to do anything else. And you can see there's those Two of Cups at the top that are actually full of water. Again, what are we going to concentrate on? The broken or the full? The hunger, the pain, the endurance, or the lessons and strength and the wisdom? What are we choosing to align to? Because on the Sunday we have the Three of Wands. The only way to move forward here is to have integrity. It's not about there being a right or wrong. You know, this week we may actually focus on the fact that we didn't get what we wanted, that it's been a time of loss, you know, that there's been a lot of insecurities. And if that's how we feel, being authentic with that is what matters. We may feel the other way and we don't want to concentrate on the endurances or the losses or the insecurity. We may want something different. And again, how we feel, how authentic we are with what we feel is all that's actually being asked this week. It's an opportunity to sense into how integral we are being with where we actually are. So an example, yes, I can see this week with some of the changes that may be coming, you know, it's a time to move forward. Things haven't been as sustainable as I would have liked. And there's a lot of lessons behind it. There's a lot of, oh yeah, I've learned so much. But the truth of the matter is I'm also grieving. And I'm also feeling very sad at all the hard work that's been put in there. And that's okay. That's part of the process. So recognizing your emotions, whatever stage they're at, are part of the process. It's that that's going to ease the endurance, because we're no longer going to feel insecure in our emotions. We're not going to make something better than it is or worse than it is. It's going to be a presence there. And that presence may very well have loss behind it. Holding space for that this week is going to be key, because that's the ultimate lesson here with the shaman, with the Hierophant. Our ability to walk the realms, to not be in the future, to not be in the past, but to be in this present moment with whatever is occurring for us, so that the only loss we have is the separation from the process. If we jump out of the process, then we actually lose ourselves, and that's a far bigger loss, and a far bigger expenditure, and a far bigger insecurity, because we lose that integrity of being present with whatever is going on and what we're being asked to create as a result. So let's have a look overall. We have one major arcana, which is the Hierophant and the Shaman. And is there anything more to add to that? That's going to be one of the biggest lessons from the Shaman energy itself. Is there any more to add to the situation that you're in? Have you learned enough? Only you can decide that. Only you can decide if you've reached your limit of what you're able to give. Only you can decide if you're getting what you need out of a situation. And that's the responsibility of the shaman. That's the teacher. That's the more positive aspect of the Hierophant, rather than someone or life dictating what you should do. Have I done enough here? That comes down to us, and that's the overall energy this week, because in that there is great nurture. It may not feel like it. There are many times when we want the answers, right? It may not feel like it, but one of the most empowering things that we can have is the ability to choose and to decide what is right for us, and to be not okay with that, but authentic with that. To have that as our integrity, that decision without the judgments of I could do better or da-da-da, knowing in that moment, in that present moment, this is the decision that's right for you. So we then have 4 wand cards. And I shall put that there. 4 wand cards. So the stability actually comes from our spirit this week. but it can also come from that can also restrict us this week. So bear in mind, 4 can be a nice solid block that we can stand on, or a soapbox for some. So be mindful of that. But it can also be a cage. It can also be a box. And sometimes when we make things better than they are, they can become more enduring than they need to be. Sometimes when we're not 100% authentic to the strengths that we have, it can be quite stifling of our spirit, and we can actually limit ourselves. So this week, really feeling into anything that we desire, nurturing them without getting too caught up in all the lessons behind it and all the things that we've discovered, but just for the sheer fun of it, taking a moment and really feeding into what we want. Because ultimately, the biggest medicine, the biggest magic is the ability to feel what our spirit is calling for. That's the outcome. Even though it's beautiful, the outcome generally isn't as important as the sheer fact that we're willing to let ourselves feel what it is we desire in order to get that outcome. So we then have one pentacle card, and the pentacle card this week is the 5 of Earth. It is the insecurity, and it is about having a new beginning here, being able to see insecurity for what it actually is, insecurity, an opportunity here to recognize our needs, the hierarchy of needs, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. What are we requiring here? Have our needs grown? Are they being met by ourselves, by our external environment? If not, what can we do about that? Because then we become more responsible. And when we're more responsible, that security is then developed from within. Okay, so it is a turning point in how we view ourselves, our desires, and how willing we are to stand up for them in the actions that we take this week. So that does mean, obviously, emotionally, with the 5 of water, another 5 card here, a turning point here. We have the 1 cup card, and it is about loss this week. Loss of situations that don't sustain us, loss of beliefs and judgments that haven't fulfilled our emotional need, loss of not putting our own perspective and needs first. An opportunity here to move away from anything that is draining us on an emotional level, to take our cup, to fill it up, to connect to the knowing that when we're full, whatever we do is then full. Loss of this belief that may not be needed. Of course it is. For any growth to occur, our needs grow, our desires grow, our creative maturity grows, and that is what we're actually facing this week, a creative maturity, but not by being so aware of everything that could happen, but recognizing even that is limited, and creating with emotional maturity now, rather than a knee-jerk reaction from a place where we haven't acknowledged our needs have not been met. And then we have 1 sword card, and it is the Mother or the Queen of Swords, or the Mother of Air. And here, yes, even the higher perspective is being guided by something far beyond us. This goes beyond time. This goes beyond understanding. We can think of something, I'd really like X, Y, and Z, and that would be really nice. And that's great. And that's all we're being asked to be aware of. But there is so much more to what it is we're asking for. And all the time we block our needs and our desires, we are blocking a far bigger perspective here, a far bigger potential. When we call up sacred space, when we call up the space of the East, or the Apachins, the eagles, we ask to fly wingtip to wingtip with them, but we are also asked to have the courage to dream, fly wingtip to wingtip with our Creator, and have the courage to dream the dreams we dare to dream. We can't do that if we're not going to be 100% honest with where we're at and what is going on. If we continue to play small with our creative ability, we're not going to dream the greatest dream that we can dream. And yes, that could be a bit of a rude awakening this week, that there is so much more out there. Why? Because our masculine, going back to the Son of Fire, creating and preparing, it doesn't really know its ass from its elbow this week. Are we creating? Are we preparing? The truth of the matter is it's both of them, but in our actions, there's a lot of confusion and a lot of trauma that needs to be repaired this week. Okay, so we do have, oh, beautiful. We do have the Ten of Cups. Now, the Ten of Cups has come up several times. For those that listen to the daily guidance, the last 2 days in a row, the Ten of Cups has come up. And it may not feel as if it's about fulfillment and joy and, obtaining our wishes and a happy life. Remember, the 10 is at the end. Okay, it is perfectly normal for what once sustained us to not sustain us anymore as we grow. It is perfectly normal to create, perfectly normal to keep writing new things, creating new things, offering new things, growing new things, seeing new things, wanting new things. This is a beautiful, beautiful flow that is perfect. And underneath we then have the Father of Air that is perfectly normal. And the more we can see that, the more we can see our emotional longings and yearnings as normal and flow with them, the more we are able to collect from this continuous irony, from this unlimited source of love. Every time we create, every time we receive that energy and then do something with that energy, we feel great, right? Well, we've created this, we've done this, we've made this, we feel worthy, we feel connected, we feel loved. If we're not going to do that and we're going to allow ourselves to be stagnant and feed from something that doesn't make us feel that, we're going to disconnect from that. But more importantly, that flow isn't going to be able to move through us either and not reach whoever it needs to reach. So being very mindful of that this week without putting pressure on yourself. You have to address your needs because everyone's life depends on it. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, why wouldn't you? Why are your needs not as important as the next person? I'm really feeling into that because we have the Ace of Air. It is an opportunity to take those higher perspectives, those new ideas, and reconnect to them from a different angle. Not from an enduring angle, not from the lessons learned, not from the healing, but as if you've seen your dreams for the first time. Fall back in love with them, fall back in love with yourself, fall back in love with whatever it is your heart and mind and higher self is yearning for, because we have the Four of Pentacles, but it is upside down. This is the medicine wheel in this pack, but also the whole idea of what we may need to let go of, and there's a bit of a headache there. There's a bit of a headache there because there's been a disconnection from our higher self. It's been very much about the physical, or at least how we perceive the physical. But I'm grounded in the results and the actions. So this week we are facing an opportunity to turn that back up on its head by letting go of any physical beliefs that stop us from creating whatever it is we are here to create. And it all comes down to our ability to open up to fulfillment, to joy, to the love that we are, and believe that not only do we deserve that, that is us. Okay, so one card this week, overall for completion. We have the Seven of Air, which is futility. We have the Seven of Swords here. But then we also have the Fool and breakthrough right next door. Okay, so big, big, big opportunity here to let go of anything that we have used to defend our situation, including old beliefs, anything that we have used to make a point, to make a stand. This is why I do it because of X, Y, and Z. Actually, let's start again. The breakthrough comes from starting again with relationships, with careers, with our needs, with how we see it all. There is no more magic to be found in that which is futile. There is no more. It's almost like this card in particular in the middle, collecting all these different ideas, collecting all these different perspectives. But look at the birds in the background that are flying. Are we going to collect lessons? Or are we going to allow them to bring forth our freedom? What are we actually carrying? Seeing that from a different perspective this week as we start a new journey in the way of the Heyoka. So everything opposite this week. Questioning the questions, feeling the feelings, really, really going through with it all. Because from all those seeds that were originally in the basket of the insecurity, resides a great opportunity of breakthrough, and it is related to the shadow, and it is related to how much we can grow from embracing the light of the shadow. All those things we don't want to face, all those things we don't want to dare to dream, that's where the actual beauty is going to come from. And then we have endurance again on the bottom of the pack, and And the Two of Water, the love card underneath it. We can look at our relationships, we can look at our careers, we can look at our connection to Source, but we can only ever do so from the level that we're at. And it's that determines how much endurance we have to actually put up with, how connected we are to our masculine, with the father of F there, and how much wisdom is being brought forth for the accumulation card that's underneath the Nine of Pentacles. How do you see your own growth? How do you see yourself? How connected are you to that? Re-examine that this week for the completion and closure of any insecurities you may have and the bringing forth of the real physical accumulation that you've been waiting for. Take care. Have the most incredible week, and I'll hopefully see you next week. Take care.